The night was cold and the city never cared. On the corner of a broken streetlight, a boy sat curled up against a wall. His clothes were thin, his shoes had holes, and the only thing he owned was an old gray blanket. He held it tight around his shoulders, trying to keep warm. People walked by without seeing him. Cars roared past, their headlights blinding, but none slowed down. To the city, he was invisible. Just another lost child in a world that had no place for him. But that night was different. A strange sound broke the silence. It was not the sound of footsteps or traffic. It was soft and weak, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. The boy lifted his head. His stomach was empty, but curiosity was stronger than hunger. He stood clutching his blanket and followed the sound down a dark alley. The alley smelled of trash and oil. Shadows stretched long across the walls. At first he thought it might be a cat or a dog, but then he saw it. Something was lying against the bricks, half hidden behind a dumpster. It was not human. Its skin shimmered faintly like pale silver under the moonlight. Its body was tall and thin, but curled up as if in pain. Its chest rose and fell shallowly, each breath a struggle. Its eyes, large, dark, and full of fear, opened slightly when it saw the boy. The boy froze. His first thought was to run. But the creature looked too weak to chase anyone. It looked hurt and cold. The boy knew that kind of cold. The kind that bit into the bones. The kind that made sleep dangerous because you might not wake up. The creature's lips moved, but no words came. Just a broken, rattling sound. Its arms shook as it tried to pull something closer to its body, but there was nothing there. No coat, no cover. Nothing to keep it alive through the night. The boy felt his heart pound. He looked at the blanket wrapped around his shoulders. It was thin, old, barely enough for him. Without it, he would freeze. But then he looked at the creature again. Its eyes were closing. Its breath was slowing, and the boy made a choice. He knelt beside it, his hands trembling. Carefully, he took the blanket from his own body and spread it over the creature. The cold hit him at once, sharp like knives in his chest. But he kept going, pulling the blanket up to the creature's neck. The alien's eyes opened again. For a moment, there was a flicker of light inside them. Not just reflection, but something deep, glowing faintly like embers. Its shaking slowed. Its chest rose and fell more steadily. The boy whispered, "You'll be okay now." His voice was quiet, rough from days without speaking. The creature reached out a trembling hand. Its fingers were long and thin, ending in soft points. It touched the boy's arm gently, almost in thanks, before falling still. The boy sat back, teeth chattering. His body shivered without the blanket, but he did not take it back. He leaned against the wall, watching the creature, fighting against the cold. His eyes grew heavy, but he forced them to stay open. Hours passed. The city noise faded as the night grew deeper. The creature did not move again, but it did not die either. Faint light pulsed softly under the blanket like the glow of a hidden star. The boy wrapped his arms around himself, pressing his knees to his chest. He thought about food. He thought about warmth. He thought about how tomorrow would be just another day of being unseen. But deep inside, he felt something new. A quiet voice telling him he had done the right thing. And then, as dawn touched the sky with gray light, he saw it. Above the rooftops, faint shapes moved. Not birds, not planes. Shadows with wings of fire cutting through the morning clouds. The boy blinked, heart racing. He counted them. 10, 20, more. By the time the sun broke, 200 alien warriors stood in the street. Their armor glowed with silver light. Their weapons gleamed sharp as crystal, and all of them looked toward the alley where the boy sat. The boy's breath caught in his throat. He pressed against the wall, unsure if this was real or a dream. Then, in one voice, the warriors spoke, their words shaking the earth itself. "Brother." The boy sat frozen in the alley, his thin arms wrapped tight around his chest. The blanket was gone, but he did not think about that now. His eyes were locked on the impossible sight before him. 200 figures filled the street. They stood in perfect formation, shoulder to shoulder, their silver armor shining like mirrors under the new sun. Their eyes glowed faintly, each pair fixed on him. The boy wanted to run. Every part of him screamed to hide. But his legs would not move. The ground trembled as one of them stepped forward. He was taller than the rest, with armor marked by lines of gold. His helmet retracted with a sharp hiss, revealing a face both alien and proud. His skin shimmered with the same pale silver as the one the boy had covered with his blanket. His eyes were dark but filled with fire. The leader spoke, his voice deep and steady like thunder rolling over mountains. You gave warmth to our kin when no one else would. You gave life when life was fading. For this we stand before you, the boy blinked. His throat was dry, his mind spinning. He had no words. He was just a boy with nothing. Why were they here? The warriors raised their weapons, not in threat but in salute. Their blades and spears of crystal caught the morning light, sending beams dancing across the broken city street. Together they spoke in one voice, strong enough to shake windows and rattle glass. Brother, the word echoed. It carried through the air, past the alley, past the streets, past the people now gathering at corners and windows. The boy shrank back against the wall. Dozens of faces appeared above from broken apartments, office towers, and sidewalks. People stared, mouths open. Phones rose, screens recording. The city had woken, and now it saw what the boy had done. The leader knelt before him. Armor scraped stone as he lowered his massive frame onto one knee. The other warriors followed at once, kneeling in perfect unison, 200 strong. The boy's eyes widened. He had never seen anyone kneel for him. No one had ever even looked at him not like this. The leader said, By the code of our people, the life you saved is the life of our whole. One of us is all of us, and so we call you brother. The boy shook his head, whispering, I'm no one. I don't have anything. The alien's gaze burned steady. You gave what no wealth could buy. You gave kindness. In that moment, you became more than no one. You became one of us. The boy felt his chest ache, not from cold, but from something deeper. For the first time in years, someone saw him, not as a shadow, not as trash, but as family. But not everyone in the city felt the same. Sirens wailed in the distance. Police cars roared down the street, lights flashing red and blue. They skidded to a stop as officers jumped out, weapons drawn. Behind them, news vans pushed closer, cameras rolling, voices shouting into microphones. Stay where you are, an officer barked, aiming his gun at the nearest warrior. The alien did not move. None of them did. They stayed kneeling, weapons pointed only toward the sky. Their discipline was sharp, unshaken, but the crowd panicked. Some people screamed. Others cheered. Phones filmed every second, the internet lighting up with the sight of an army of silver giants kneeling to a boy with no shoes. The boy pressed back against the wall, heart hammering. He wanted to hide, but the leader turned his eyes to him once more. Do not fear. We will protect you. Always. The ground shook again as a second craft appeared in the sky. It was not like the others. This one was massive. Like a ship pulled from legend, its surface covered in glowing veins of light. It hovered above the city, casting a shadow over blocks of buildings. The people gasped. The boy's voice cracked as he whispered, Why me? Why are you here for me? The leader stood tall again. His voice carried so all could hear. Our brother shared his last comfort with one of ours. He gave when he had nothing. He saved the heir of our house, the son of our line. For this, his life is bound to ours. His fight is our fight. His enemies are our enemies. And his name will be carried among the stars. The boy's knees weakened. He almost fell, but the leader caught him gently, steadying him with one strong hand. Gasps rose from the crowd. The cameras zoomed in. The boy's face, dirty, tired, small, was broadcast to the world. The boy looked up at the leader. I don't even have a name. Nobody ever cared to know it. The leader's voice grew fierce. Then you shall take ours. From this day forward, you are not nameless. You are brother. The boy's chest tightened. Tears stung his eyes, though he fought them back. For the first time, he felt he belonged to something bigger than himself. But beyond the police line, black trucks rolled up. Soldiers in heavy gear spilled out, their weapons heavier, sharper, ready for war. A voice on a megaphone shouted, Stand down! This is a military order! The alien warriors turned their heads as one. Their silver armor glowed brighter. Their hands gripped their weapons, not in salute this time, but in readiness. The leader's voice dropped low, only for the boy to hear. The choice will come soon, brother, between hiding and standing, between silence and speaking. But whatever comes, we stand with you. The boy swallowed hard. His body shook, but not from cold this time, from the weight of something he had never known before. Power. The standoff in the street held like ice ready to crack. On one side, police cars, soldiers, guns raised, nerves tight. On the other, 200 alien warriors glowing in silver armor. Their weapons pointed to the ground, but their bodies ready to rise in a heartbeat. And between them, a boy who owned nothing but had somehow become the center of the world. The leader of the aliens still stood tall beside him, one hand steady on the boy's shoulder. The boy could feel the heat of his armor, the strength behind it. He did not feel alone, but the tension was thick. One wrong move and the street would explode. Then the leader raised his free hand. He made no weapon ready, no threat. Instead, he spread his palm toward the soldiers. His voice carried clear and calm. "We seek no war with your kind. We seek only to honor our brother." The soldiers did not lower their guns. Their eyes flicked from the boy to the giant ship above to the warriors kneeling. Their fear was plain. The boy swallowed hard. His voice was small, but it cut through the silence. "They're not here to hurt anyone." The crowd gasped. For the first time, the boy spoke where everyone could hear. His words were not shouted, not strong, but honest. The kind of words no armor could block. The leader looked down at him, a flicker of pride in his dark eyes. At last, the soldiers stepped back. They did not lower their weapons fully, but they did not fire. The police glanced at each other, confused, waiting. The world seemed to hold its breath. The leader leaned closer to the boy and whispered, "It is time you know why we call you brother." He gave a signal with 2 fingers. At once, a group of warriors brought forward a small case. They opened it carefully, and inside lay a round crystal, glowing faintly with shifting colors. The leader held it high for the boy to see. "This is the core of Oath. It holds the memory of our people. It carries the code we live by." The boy blinked. "Code?" "Yes," the leader said. "The code of kin. To us, kindness is life. No warrior, no ruler, no soldier may stand above it. One of us in danger is all of us in danger. One life saved binds us forever to the one who saved it." The boy looked at the glowing crystal, then at the blanket still wrapped around the alien he had saved. The truth sank into him. "So because I gave my blanket..." The leader's voice grew stronger, filling the air. "You gave more than a blanket. You gave warmth when death was cold. You gave hope when all hope was gone. You gave without expecting return. That is our highest law. By this act you are one of us, and we do not forget our own." The warriors slammed their fists to their chests in one motion. The sound rolled like thunder. "Brother!" The boy's chest ached. He had never been called brother before. Not by blood. Not by strangers. Certainly not by an army. His lips trembled. He looked down at his hands, dirty and thin. He whispered, "But I'm not strong. I'm not brave like you." The leader knelt again, lowering his head so their eyes met level. "Strength is not in armor or weapons. Strength is in choice, and you chose to give. That is a strength few possess." The boy blinked fast, trying to fight the tears burning his eyes. His heart felt heavier and lighter at once, but the peace was fragile. From the crowd, angry voices rose. Some shouted in fear, calling the aliens monsters. Others yelled at the boy, blaming him for bringing danger. The sound grew sharper, uglier. A man with a camera screamed, "It's a trick! They're invading! They'll use the boy against us." The soldiers tightened their grip on weapons. The alien warriors stirred, shifting their stance, eyes narrowing. The boy pressed his hands over his ears. The noise was too much. Too many eyes, too much hate. The leader lifted his arm again, signaling his warriors to stay calm. His voice rumbled steady. "Do not fear. We will not harm them unless they strike first." But in the crowd's shadows, unseen eyes watched. Government agents whispered into radios, reporting every word, every move. Plans were already in motion. The boy felt it, the danger pressing closer. He looked up at the leader. "They don't trust you. They don't trust me either." The leader's hand rested firm on his shoulder. "Then we will show them. We will not take trust. We will earn it." The boy stared, unsure. But somewhere deep the words struck like fire. For the first time he felt maybe he was not just surviving anymore. Maybe he had something greater to live for. The leader rose tall once more, crystal glowing in his hand. "Let the world know this truth. The boy who had nothing gave us everything. He is brother to the House of Steel. And wherever he stands, so too will we." The warriors rose with him, silver light blazing from their armor. The crowd shielded their eyes, gasping. The boy looked out over the sea of faces, fear, anger, awe, and realized something. He could no longer disappear. He was no longer invisible. The world had seen him, and it would never forget. The day grew louder. News spread fast, too fast. All over the city, screens lit up with images of the silver warriors kneeling to a homeless boy. Headlines shouted. Anchors spoke in rushed voices. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a threat. But not everyone wanted to wait and see. Black trucks rolled in at the far end of the street. Heavier than police cars, doors slammed. Soldiers in thick armor poured out, carrying rifles bigger than anything the boy had ever seen. Their helmets glowed with red lights. They moved in formation, spreading across the road. The crowd pulled back in fear. The police shouted orders, trying to keep people away. But the boy could feel the shift. This was no warning. This was not curiosity. This was control. The alien warriors tensed. Their hands moved toward their weapons, but the leader raised his arm, holding them steady. "Hold," he commanded. The boy stood small beside him, his chest tight. He whispered, "They're going to attack." The leader's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "If they strike first, we will protect you. But we will not harm without cause. Our law binds us." The soldiers raised their weapons. A voice boomed from a megaphone. "Step away from the child. You are surrounded. This is human territory. Lower your weapons and surrender." The warriors did not move. Their silver armor glowed brighter in the sunlight, silent and defiant. The boy felt his stomach twist. He wanted to scream, to tell them all to stop. But his voice was too small, swallowed by the roar of the crowd and the hard bark of soldiers. The leader turned his head slightly toward him. "Brother, the choice is coming. Do you wish to hide, or do you wish to stand?" The boy froze. Hide, that word was safe. Hide meant he could slip back into the shadows, forgotten like before. But another part of him whispered that shadows had never been safe. Shadows had always been lonely. He clenched his fists. I don't want them to hurt anyone." The leader's eyes softened. "Then speak. Speak as only you can." Before the boy could answer, the soldiers advanced. Shields locked together. Boots slammed in rhythm. The crowd screamed as the line moved forward. The alien warriors snapped to their feet, forming a wall around the boy. Spears lifted, blades gleamed. Their armor hummed with power, silver light rising like fire. For a heartbeat, the world held still. Then a soldier fired. The crack split the air. A single bullet shot toward the aliens, toward the boy, but it never reached him. A warrior stepped forward, shield snapping open, the bullet shattering harmlessly against its glowing surface. The shield pulsed, sending sparks into the air. The boy stumbled back, breath sharp. He had almost died. The warriors growled, their voices like thunder rolling across the sky. But still, they did not strike back. They waited. The leader's voice boomed, filling the street. "You fire on us, yet we do not fire on you. You threaten our brother, yet we remain. Know this, our patience has limits." The soldiers hesitated, but their commanders barked new orders. More rifles lifted, fingers curled on triggers. The boy's heart raced. His chest ached. He could not let it happen. Not another shot. Not another spark that could set the whole world on fire. He stumbled forward, slipping through the wall of warriors. His voice cracked as he shouted, "Stop!" The soldiers froze. The crowd gasped. The aliens turned their heads. The boy's small figure stood between the two armies. His thin arms stretched wide, his body trembling but unmoving. His voice shook, but it carried. "They didn't come here to fight. They came here because I gave them a blanket. That's all. I didn't have food. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything. But I had that. And I shared it. And now they're here. Not to hurt you. Not to take your homes. They're here because I mattered to them. And maybe for once I matter at all." The words hung heavy in the air. Even the soldiers hesitated, their rifles lowering slightly. The crowd whispered, some with tears in their eyes. The leader stepped forward, his voice rising beside the boys. "You see, we do not come for conquest. We come for kinship. This child gave what no riches could. He gave when he had nothing. In our law, that is greater than armies, greater than crowns." The boy's legs trembled, but he stayed where he stood. His voice cracked again. "Please, don't make me lose the only family I've ever had." Silence fell. The soldiers did not fire. The crowd did not shout. For a moment, the world seemed to bend around the boy's words. But in the shadows, the agents who had been watching whispered into their radios. Plans continued. Orders spread. The boy did not know it yet, but forces much larger than soldiers were already moving. The leader knelt beside him once more. "You chose to stand, brother. You chose to speak. That is the path of the brave." The boy looked at him, tears burning his eyes. "But I'm just a boy." The leader's hand rested firm on his shoulder. "And yet you stopped a war with only your words. Tell me, what greater warrior is there than that? The boy's breath caught. For the first time he believed it might be true, but the war was not over, it was only beginning. The boy's words had stopped the fight, but they had not ended the storm. By nightfall, the city was drowning in voices. Some cheered for him, calling him a hero. Others shouted hate, calling him a traitor. Screens showed his face everywhere. His thin frame and tired eyes replayed again and again. But behind closed doors, far from the crowd, powerful people made their own decisions. They feared the aliens. They feared their numbers, their weapons, their ship above the city. And most of all, they feared what it meant that 200 warriors would kneel to a single boy. Orders were given. Ultimatums were written. At dawn, the boy stood with the aliens in an abandoned square away from the crowds. The leader stood tall, his golden-marked armor glowing in the morning light. His voice was grave as he spoke to the boy. "Brother, the humans have spoken. Their rulers demand we leave this world at once. They say we must take our warriors and return to the stars." The boy's chest tightened. "But you just got here." The leader's dark eyes burned. "They fear us. They do not understand our code. They do not see family. They see only armies." The boy's fist clenched. He looked up at the massive ship still hovering above the city, its shadow heavy across the streets. "And if you don't leave?" The leader's jaw tightened. "Then they will bring war. They have called more soldiers. Machines, weapons that burn the sky. They threaten to strike if we do not obey." The boy's breath came fast. He was only one boy. He had no power to stop governments or armies. Yet he could not bear the thought of losing them. Not after finding family for the first time. The warriors around him slammed their fists to their chests. "We do not leave without brother," they chanted in one voice. The sound echoed like thunder, shaking the air. The boy swallowed hard. His heart raced. "Because of your code." "Yes," the leader said. "Because you are one of us. We do not abandon kin." The boy wanted to cry. He wanted to scream. He had spent his life being unseen, forgotten, unwanted, and now 200 warriors would stand against whole armies for him. For him, but deep down fear gnawed at him. If war came, people would die. Not just soldiers, families, children like him. Could he carry that weight? The leader seemed to read his thoughts. He knelt so his eyes met the boy's. His voice was softer now. "The choice is not only ours, brother. It is yours. Do you wish us to fight for you? Or do you wish us to leave even if it means breaking our code?" The boy froze. The question cut deep. If they left, he would be alone again, forgotten. Just another shadow in the streets. But if they stayed, the world might burn because of him. His lips trembled. "I don't know what to do." The leader placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. "Then listen to your heart. It was your heart that gave us life. It will guide us now." The boy shook his head, tears brimming in his eyes. "But I'm not strong enough. I don't have the right words." The leader's gaze was fierce, steady. "You spoke once and stopped a battle. You can speak again, not with the tongue of rulers or the sharpness of laws, but with truth. Truth is the weapon stronger than any blade." The boy's chest rose and fell fast. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. His voice came out small but certain. "Then I'll try." The leader rose tall. He raised his arm, signaling his warriors. They stepped aside, creating a path that led to the square's center. Cameras and drones hovered overhead, recording every movement. Around the edges of the square, soldiers and agents watched closely, their weapons held but not yet raised. The boy walked forward. His steps were slow, his knees weak, but he did not stop. He stood in the middle of the square, the eyes of the world on him. He drew a shaky breath and began to speak. "I don't have much. I never did. All my life, people walked past me. Nobody looked. Nobody cared. I didn't think I mattered." The crowd hushed. Even soldiers lowered their guns slightly. "But one night I saw someone hurting, someone who was cold just like me. I didn't have food or a house or even a bed, but I had one blanket, and I gave it away. Not because I wanted anything, not because I thought it would change the world, but because it was the right thing to do." His voice cracked, but he kept going. "And now they call me brother. They stand with me because I gave, but they're not here to fight you. They're not here to take your homes. They're here because I mattered to them. And if I can matter to them, maybe everyone can. Maybe kindness matters more than fear." Silence. The boy's words hung heavy in the air, sinking deep into hearts. The leader stepped forward, his voice carrying like thunder. "You see? He is our brother. and through him humanity may also be our kin. But the choice is yours. Will you see us as enemies, or as family? The square held its breath. Soldiers shifted uneasily. The crowd stirred. The boy's small frame stood in the center, fragile yet unbroken. He had no weapons, no armor, no power, only truth. And for the first time the world seemed ready to listen. The boy's words carried far, but not far enough. For a moment silence held the square. Soldiers lowered their weapons slightly. The crowd murmured in awe. It felt like peace might bloom. Then the sky screamed. A roar split the air as jets streaked overhead, leaving trails of smoke. From the black trucks, machines rolled forward. Tall armored walkers with cannons mounted on their shoulders. Their red targeting lights swept across the square, locking onto the alien warriors. The boy's heart dropped. He shook his head. No, please don't. But the orders had already been given. Someone far away, hidden behind walls and screens, had decided. Fear had won. The machines fired. Explosions tore through the square, sending stone and dust flying. The crowd screamed, scattering in panic. Soldiers ducked for cover. The ground cracked as shells slammed down, shaking the earth. The alien warriors moved at once. Shields snapped open, glowing bright. Walls of silver energy rose, blocking the blasts. Sparks flew as cannon fire crashed against their defense, but not a single shot reached the boy. "Protect, brother," they shouted in one voice, their formation closing tight around him. The boy pressed against the ground, covering his head. Heat and dust choked the air. His heart pounded like a drum, fear clawing at his chest. The leader stood tall in the center, his golden armor blazing. "Hold the line," he roared. His shield stretched wide, catching fire meant for the boy, but the attack did not stop. More machines rolled in. More jets screamed overhead. The sky and ground rained fire. The warriors fought back, but carefully. Their blades lit with crystal light, slashing through missiles. Their spears threw arcs of energy, striking machines down without touching the fleeing humans. They moved with perfect control, their code binding them. They would not harm innocents. The boy saw it all through smoke and chaos. Soldiers firing blindly, civilians crying, warriors holding steady, refusing to break. He wanted to scream to stop it, but his voice drowned under the noise of war. The leader knelt beside him, shielding him with his massive frame. "Brother, you must choose again. We cannot hold forever. If we fight with full strength, we win. But many humans will die. If we do not fight, we may fall, and you with us." The boy's throat tightened. He looked around at the chaos, at the people running, at the fear in every face. He thought of himself, cold and invisible, forgotten in the streets. He thought of the alien he saved, dying in the dark until kindness pulled him back. His voice shook. "No one else dies. Not for me. Not for this." The leader's eyes burned like fire. "Then you must give them trust, even when they do not give it to you." The boy's breath caught. His whole body trembled, but he forced himself to stand. His legs wobbled, but he pushed through the smoke, climbing onto a broken piece of stone. He shouted, his voice raw, "Stop fighting. Please stop." For a moment, no one heard. The cannons roared, jets screamed, but he shouted again, louder, until his voice cracked. "I don't want this. I don't want war. I only wanted to help someone. That's all. If you kill them, you kill me too. Because they are my family now." The words cut through the chaos like a blade. Soldiers hesitated. Civilians stopped running and turned. Even the machines slowed as commanders listening through radios faltered. The boy's chest heaved. His thin arms spread wide. He stood unshielded, exposed, a single fragile figure in the storm. The leader raised his arm, signaling his warriors to lower their weapons. At once, 200 blades dimmed, shields fading. They stood tall, silent, defenseless, but unafraid. The crowd gasped. The boy's voice broke as he cried out, "If you can't trust them, then trust me. I gave everything I had. I gave my only blanket, and they gave me a family. Isn't that what humans want too? Family, safety, to matter?" The words hung in the air. Slowly, soldiers lowered their rifles. The red targeting lights blinked out. The cannons fell silent. Jets banked away, vanishing into the clouds. The world stopped breathing. The boy stood shaking, dust and tears streaking his face. His voice dropped to a whisper, but all could hear. "Please, trust me." Silence. Then from the crowd, a single voice shouted, "He's right." Another followed. "He saved them. Let them save him." Soon dozens of voices rose, then hundreds. People stepped forward, no longer running, but standing. Standing with the boy. The soldiers looked at the people, at the boy, at the warriors who had never once struck them in anger. Slowly, carefully, they stepped back. The leader's eyes softened. His voice rumbled, low and proud. "You did it, brother. You turned battle into trust. That is the path of the true warrior." The boy's knees gave out. The leader caught him before he fell, lifting him with care. The warriors slammed their fists to their chests, their voices booming across the city. "Brother!" The war had not vanished. Danger still lingered. But in that moment, the world had seen something stronger than fear. It had seen trust. The city lay quiet after the storm. Smoke drifted in the air, the ground scarred with black marks where fire had struck. Broken stone and shattered glass littered the square. But for the first time since dawn, there was no gunfire, no screaming engines, no thunder of weapons, only silence. The boy sat on a piece of rubble, exhausted. His body shook from cold and fear, but his eyes stayed open. Around him, the alien warriors stood guard, not in anger, but in calm. Their shields were lowered, their blades dim. They looked less like soldiers now and more like a circle of guardians. The leader knelt beside him. His golden armor bore scorch marks from battle, but his voice was steady, warm. "Brother, the danger is past. For now." The boy looked at the cracked ground, his voice small. "But it's not over, is it? They'll still fear you. They'll still fear me." The leader's dark eyes softened. "Fear fades. Deeds remain." The boy lifted his head, confused. The leader rose, raising a hand. At his signal, 2 warriors stepped forward, carrying a long case of black metal. They set it on the ground before the boy and opened it slowly. Inside, a faint blue light pulsed like a beating heart. The boy stared. "What is it?" The leader's voice carried like a vow. "A gift from our house to you, the seed of the forge. With it, your world may heal wounds, end hunger. Build without ruin. It holds knowledge we guarded for centuries, and we give it to you because you gave without asking." The boy's eyes widened. He shook his head. "But I'm just a kid. I don't know what to do with something like this." The leader placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. "Then you will share it, not alone, with your people. With those who believe in kindness. This gift is not power for one, it is hope for all." The boy's throat tightened. For so long he had nothing. Now in his hands rested something that could change everything. The crowd around the square leaned in, eyes wide. Even soldiers stepped closer, weapons forgotten, drawn by the light of the seed. The boy felt their gaze, but for once he was not afraid of it. The leader spoke again, his voice proud. "We must return to the stars. Our kin awaits. But know this, wherever you walk, we walk with you. Wherever you stand, our voices carry your name. You are brother to the House of Steel forever." The boy's chest ached. Tears blurred his vision. He whispered, "I don't want you to go." The leader's gaze held steady. "We never leave you." "Not truly. When you gave your blanket, you planted a bond stronger than distance, stronger than time. You gave us family, and family endures." The warriors slammed their fists to their chests one final time. Their voices shook the ground. "Brother!" The boy wiped his eyes and stood thin and small among giants, but no longer unseen. He lifted the seed in both hands, its glow shining across the broken square. The crowd gasped at the sight, their fear slowly melting into awe. The leader bowed his head once more, then turned. With sharp precision, the warriors moved as one, forming ranks. Their silver armor gleamed in the fading light. Above, the great ship rumbled. Beams of light stretched down, wrapping around the warriors. One by one, they rose into the air, lifted toward the waiting craft. The leader was the last to ascend. His eyes met the boy's, and for a heartbeat the world fell away. "Be strong, brother," he said. "And remember, strength is in choice." Then he too was gone, swallowed by the light. The ship's engines roared, fire spilling across the clouds. Slowly, the massive vessel turned, its glow fading as it climbed higher and higher. Soon it was nothing but a star among stars. The square was silent once more. The boy stood alone in the center, the seed's glow in his hands. But he was not truly alone. The crowd did not turn away. Soldiers did not march past him. For the first time, the city's eyes were on him, not with scorn but with wonder. A reporter whispered into her mic, voice trembling. "A homeless boy gave a dying alien his only blanket, and now carries the hope of a world." The boy lowered the seed, holding it close to his chest. His clothes were still ragged, his shoes still broken, but something inside him had changed forever. He had been invisible, forgotten. No one's son. No one's friend. Now he was brother, and the world would never forget his name.